right, next project is your self-portrait. So if you'll remember, if you've got your rulers on, you can also tell it to view rulers. You can turn them on or turn them off. When you put your mouse here, you can divide your picture into different sections. Now, you don't necessarily have to do this, but what I do want you to do is I do want you to make 6 changes to your picture. Okay, you could do 6, put them in 6 panels up and down, or you can do it in squares. But I'd like to introduce you, in this particular project, I want to introduce you guys to filters. What you're going to do is you're going to think about 6 parts about yourself that you find unique. 6 things about yourself that make you who you are. We are all like mansions, and there are many rooms in our mansions. One room that I see of you is that you're a student, but you're not a student 24/7. Some of you guys are sons, some of you guys are brothers, sisters. You're also a friend. You're also an athlete. You're a musician. You're an artist. Some of you guys are listeners. Some of you guys are hellraisers. Wait, I'm not going to say that. Some of you guys are cantankerous. Whatever. You're going to use your filters in Photoshop to visually represent the different parts of your personality. So, using my rectangular marquee, and we use that in our symmetry project, I'm going to select one section. And in the filter menu, I want you to think of filters as special effects. So in this filter gallery, it gives me lots of different effects I can put on that one section. But I've got to think to myself, well, what do I want that to symbolize? I have here this dark strokes. Oh my gosh. And right here, it's going to give you some options to further customize that particular, what do you call that, effect. Let's say I like the dark strokes because it looks kind of morbid. It looks kind of sad. And maybe I want that to symbolize some of the trials and tribulations I've had to experience as a person. So I'm going to tell it okay. And notice what Photoshop does is it's going to put that effect just on that selected area. I'm going to open up Pages on my computer and then tell Pages, write down that I use the dark strokes, and it symbolizes my bad background, parts of my past that are dark. But that still makes me who I am. Now I'm going to deselect by going to select and deselect, or I can do a Command D. So I can select each one of these sections and do a change. Other things that you can do on your picture, you don't necessarily have to select in a square. Maybe I want to select my eyes, and I'm going to make my eyes bigger. Now on the feather, I'm going to increase my feather, because what the feather is, it gives it an edge. If I tell it to have a feather of a 0 and I select an area, and let's say I move that, if you see how clean of an edge that gives it. I don't want a super clean edge. I want it a soft edge. So I'm going to tell it to increase the feather. And that's how many pixels. I'm going to do 15. And I'm going to and what the lasso does is just going to draw whatever you select. And you've got to end it where you started. So now that area is selected. Now we've done the Command T. I'm going to tell it to be bigger. And this is going to symbolize that I'm going to have this symbolize my intelligence. I come from a background that most people don't have. I come from 2 different countries. My parents from 2 different places. So that allows me to see some things that other people aren't able to see, and something I really take pride in. So maybe that's what that symbolizes. That's one change you could do. So I'm going to deselect, Command D to deselect. What else can I change in it? So now that was not a square. So that's 2 changes I've made on my picture. Maybe I want to select, let's say, half of the picture, and I want to make that part green. Maybe I'll go to Image, Adjustments, and we did this in our last project, Hue and Saturation. Hue is where it falls on the color wheel. And maybe I'm going to tell it to go green, because that symbolizes my angry side. Because I do have an angry side. It's like Jekyll and Hyde. And I'll say I change the hue and saturation, and that's what that symbolizes. Maybe I want to, last tool to show you, so you can change color, you can do selecting, you can moving. In your filter menu, there's something here called Liquify, and what Liquify will allow you to do is it'll allow you to push your pixels. What does that mean? I can do this. I can increase. You can, yes, you can disorientate. So maybe I'm going to have this. I might do some liquify here, because that might symbolize for me the twisty-turvy journey that I've made. I never meant to come to Lubbock, but I'm here. And even though sometimes life happens and things are really twisty and turvy, sometimes good things can happen. It can be a beautiful thing. I know a lot of people hate Lubbock, but I kind of like it. I had an opportunity to go teach in Japan and Hawaii, but I decided to pick Lubbock. There's also in this liquefy, so you can push your pixels. This is going to restore it. Pucker is going to make something get bigger or no, smaller. Okay.
Oh my.
Oh my, indeed. Make something go bigger. So, and you know, if you do that, tell me what it symbolizes. Maybe the small one right here, or my good size. Sometimes I'm really narrow. Sometimes I'm narrow-minded about things. I have a hard time. Change is difficult for me, or whatever. And then whatever changes you make, they have to symbolize something. Okay. So then I'm going to tell it, okay, so I'm going to put all these changes in here. I'm going to write them down in pages or write them down on a piece of paper. And then afterwards, you will be writing a 5-paragraph essay. Actually, it's going to be an 8-paragraph essay about the change, what your picture means. Now, let me go ahead and show you some example. There will be some examples. If you want to see some examples of self-portraits, I will put them in the animation share folder, and it will be called self-portrait examples, okay? All right.